Literature is just an expression of a person's feelings, emotions, or what he faces during his long journey in this life. That's why man has taken it as a method through which he reveals his inner feelings, and communicate with others through symbols, words, context, and style. Literature has been and is still the guise that the writer hides behind to discuss forbidden subjects, in a reality that often does not allow us to say everything or oppose anything. That's why the novel Animal Farm by George Orwell is very important. George Orwell is the pseudonym of Eric Blair, who is a unique personality in the history of literature, the author of many of the most famous and best-selling novels, which expresses the facts and events that the world lived in during communism, and the division of the world into two great camps that destroyed human dreams of freedom, dignity, and justice. Sometimes the expression was in a surreptitious way and other times in a clear way. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Mr. Johns was the supervisor of a farm. The events begin by this exciting character. He goes to bed after closing the outer door of the barns as usual, but because he was too drunk to remember to close the doors of animals' barns. Once Mr. Jones, the hated person for the animals, fell asleep, there was a stirring and a fluttering all through the farm buildings, because they were all invited to a large meeting by the old major, and the meeting was an opportunity to tell them the story of a strange dream that he has seen on the previous night. This meeting was an opportunity for all the farm animals to join, and to listen to the story of the strange dream. The first to arrive were the 3 farm dogs, Bluebell, Jessie, and Pincher. Then the pigs arrived. Then came the chickens, pigeons, sheep and cows, also the 2 horses, Boxer and Clover. Then Muriel, the white goat, and Benjamin, the donkey arrived. As for the brood of ducklings, which had lost their mother, they did not find a place for her, so Clover made a sort of wall round them with her great foreleg, and the ducklings nestled down inside it. Then the young mare, Molly, arrived just before the cat, where she settled between Clover and Boxer. All the animals came, except Mr. Jones's raven, Moses, who slept behind the back door. The old major began telling his dream, calling all the animals comrades. He told them that he had a long life and he feels that he's about to die, and he wants to give them his experience and wisdom that he gained from his very long life. The old major saw that England is a good country and it has many blessings, but no animal in England knows the meaning of freedom, dignity and justice. But what's the reason of this misery? It is simply the domination of humans over animals, as he is the only creature that consumes without producing. Although without animals man can't live on earth, so the animals considered him the only real enemy. The old major kept driving the animals and directing them to think of the human domination, as man sets them to hard and tough work, and gives back to them the bare minimum. Man is only a thief who benefits from their products and what they provide for him, without paying any attention to the animals' circumstances and their tragic situation. Bit to remember, the barn is like any society. When there is no order, there is a lot of stirring and fluttering, and man is an exploitative creature, although other creatures are the ones who allow him to live on earth. The old major wanted to reach the main point, which is that rebellion is the only way to freedom and the elimination of the human domination, and by this way, animals will have their dignity and happiness. This won't happen without the incitement of animals to unite in order to expel humans from the farm, as they are the reason of misery and sadness. After a long struggle, and a significant voting process, the old major began to crystallize his idea, which can be summarized in 7 commandments. 1. Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. 2. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. 3. No animal shall wear clothes. 4. No animal shall sleep in a bed. 5. No animal shall drink alcohol. 6. No animal shall kill any other animal. 7. All animals are equal. This was his dream, as the rebellion is the way of salvation, and the elimination of human race is the beginning of animal happiness. After that, the old major sang the childhood song to the animals, hoping that they would memorize it and keep repeating it as long as they are alive. The song was named The Beats of England. The rebellion was achieved and Mr. Jones was expelled from the farm, and the power became in the hands of the pigs, specifically in the hands of Napoleon and Snowball. Bit to remember, the 7 commandments of the old major were the new constitution of the farm. The animals entered another stage, with a new outlook on life, as they started taking care of the farm, and multiplied their efforts, despite the difficult situation and the lack of capabilities and tools. The work of teaching and organizing the others fell naturally upon the pigs, who were generally recognized as being the cleverest of the animals. They took a place for themselves in the farm and made it their headquarters. There was another task awaiting some of the animals who began to learn reading and writing, but most of them were not very interested except the dogs that only read the 7 commandments. Also the goat Muriel learned and was the best of them, and the donkey Benjamin did not read at all, as he said that there was nothing worth reading. Napoleon said that the education of the young was more important than anything that could be done for those who were already grown up, so he took the puppies that the 2 dogs had put after they were weaned, and he took them up into a loft which could not be reached. The 2 pigs Napoleon and Snowball were never in agreement. For example, Snowball suggested building a windmill that would contribute significantly and effectively to the development of the farm in various aspects, but Napoleon opposed this idea and told them that it was a waste of time and money. After several disagreements, Napoleon turned against Snowball with the help of the dogs he had raised, and Snowball was expelled from the farm. One day Napoleon declared himself the sole major of his happy farm, and told everyone that he would form a committee of pigs, under his orders, and the whole farm will be under its direct responsibility. The animals will be informed of the decisions made at their secret meetings. Some pigs opposed this decision, but they were promptly silenced by the dogs. 3 weeks after the expulsion of Snowball, Napoleon informed them that the windmill will be built, and that everyone should multiply the effort and work. This was unexpected and many animals were surprised by this decision. Afterwards the pig squealer was sent round the farm to explain the new arrangement to the others, and he persuaded them that Napoleon didn't oppose the idea of building the mill, and that it was his idea, but Snowball stole it from him. Actually, the farm animals worked hard to build the windmill, and were able to complete it despite all the challenges and difficulties. But after a while, the windmill collapsed and was completely destroyed, and Napoleon blamed Snowball. And a new struggle began for the animals to rebuild the windmill again. Bit to remember, fear of exploitation may lead to serious exploitation. In a cold winter the animals carried on as best they could with the rebuilding of the windmill. They had little food to eat, well knowing that the outside world was watching them and that the envious human beings would rejoice and triumph if the mill were not finished on time, and also they didn't want the other animals to see that they failed to provide food for themselves. The human beings didn't believe that it was Snowball who had destroyed the windmill. They said that it had fallen down because the walls were too thin. The animals knew that this was not the case. Still, it had been decided to build the walls thicker this time. Snowball made a little speech, emphasizing sacrifice, and its role, and motivating animals for more work, but the animals were not inspired by his words, so they didn't gain strength and determination from him, but from the hard work of the horse, Boxer, who was constantly working, in order to provide food for all the animals. The animals began to work hard as slaves, and their work of rebuilding the windmill was seen as a goal and hope for them. The horse Boxer was the most hard-working animal. But when he was tired and sick, Napoleon sent him to the knackers to make use of him, and Squealer persuaded the animals that Boxer had been sent to the hospital and that he had seen him dying. Also, Napoleon sold 400 eggs a week. And this is the same thing that animals used to blame on humans, and this was stated in the old major's speech that the reason for the rebellion is this greed, exploitation, and domination. The chicken revolted against this decision, but Napoleon was very cruel, as he started cutting its food rations. 9 chicken died of starvation. As a result, the rest of the chickens surrendered and obeyed Napoleon's orders. The farm pigs have wreaked havoc, suppressed the animals, and tried to convince them that everything, or any decision, was essentially in their favor. They also violated the 7 commandments. They put on clothes, slept in beds, drank wine, and took advantage of the farm's wealth for their own benefit. And they raised the ration of chicken eggs to 600 eggs per week, and prevented the lighting of lamps in the stables and stalls, and therefore the animals' life got so miserable and sad. The pigs became wealthier and healthier, and the new generations knew nothing about the revolution, and the parents and grandparents died. The farm became more prosperous, but the condition of the animals was still the same. They were still living in misery and poverty. Only pigs and dogs are the ones who took advantage of this situation, and they became so because this is their right and the duty of other animals. Suddenly the animals saw Squealer, and the pigs were walking on their hind legs, and the sheep began to shout, 4 legs good, 2 legs better, and replaced the 7 commandments with a single commandment: all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Bit to remember: when the animals tried to escape from the dominance of human beings, this led to the dominance of animals on each others.